Good morning, guys. I am Rebecca from Displaced Housewife, and today I'm going to make us some s'more cookies. So I am the Feedfeed editor for scones, vodka, Sunday suppers, and tacos. Whoa. This is my website, displacedhousewife.com. You can also find me on Instagram at displacedhousewife, and created this recipe is because sometimes I want to eat a s'more, but I don't want to light a fire for one or go to all the fuss. If you have any questions along the way, just send me a snap and let me know, and I'll explain as we go. Okay, let's get started. I've already laid out all of the ingredients and measured everything. I want to do a quick note because I always make my cookies with some bread flour. This particular recipe uses 1 cup of bread flour in it. I have not made it with all 100% all-purpose flour, 100% bread flour. So if you do that, let me know how it goes. But I would follow my instructions and use the 1 cup of bread flour into the all-purpose flour. The bread flour is going to give your cookies some girth and some chewiness that I really like. So first we're going to melt our chocolate. I have 8 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips. They are, I'm going to put in a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. I am a sunflower seed veggie oil fan because of its mild flavor. I put mine on high in the microwave for about 1 minute. How long you do it really depends on how hot your microwave runs. You could also use a double boiler for this. The one thing that you need to make sure if you do put it in the microwave, you really want to see the chunks. You don't want to melt it completely in the microwave because you run the risk of scalding your chocolate, and that would be a major bummer. The other thing I want to note, I put this in a large microwave safe bowl because I'm going to end up having the final dough, cookie dough, in this big bowl. So whisk it until all the lumps are gone and then set it aside to cool it. So right here I have 3 eggs that have been lightly whisked together, and then I'm going to slowly pour those into the chocolate while whisking so that it doesn't cook. Then we're going to add in our vanilla, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and we have 3/4 a cup each of brown and granulated sugar. I've already measured out the bread flour and the all-purpose flour. This is our salt, baking soda, and baking powder, and our cocoa. So now we're going to put our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients, and we are going to mix this until just barely blended. Stop mixing when you can still see a lot of flour, and I'm going to pour in 1.5 cups of chocolate chips. The recipe calls for dark chocolate, but I just happen to have some. When I'm making chocolate chip cookies, I like to get chocolate bars and chop them up to put in the cookie because it looks so pretty. This is a chocolate cookie. You kind of won't even be able to see them. It'll just be more of a taste and texture thing than visual. This is what your dough is going to look like when you're finally done mixing. Don't over mix it. Be sure you don't do that, but just make sure all the white spots are mostly gone. You'll notice it's sticky, so this is too sticky for us to futz around with, so we're going to put it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes because just that short amount of time in the fridge is going to make this cookie dough a lot more manageable, so hang tight. The note is to make sure that you cover your dough in plastic wrap. The refrigerator can be really drying to your dough, and you want to protect it from that drying effect. Talk about this graham cracker crumb that we're going to roll our cookies in. We can do that right now. I buy just your regular graham crackers from the grocery store, and if you don't have a high-speed blender, you can just put them in a plastic baggie and pound them with a rolling pin or whatever you have on hand. So I'm noticing that in the recipe I do say coarsely ground, and you do want to have some larger chunks of graham cracker just for interesting texture. Need the majority to be finely ground up so they adhere to the marshmallow. So I'm going to pulse mine really quick in my So you're going to want to pour these into a shallow bowl, and if you look at the texture, you'll see there's some larger chunks here and finer all around. Another thing that we can do while our dough is chilling is we can prep our marshmallows, put them on a baking sheet covered in parchment paper. Really good to know how your oven heats up. When I put my oven on broil, the back middle part gets the most broil. And then one last note on when you're going to broil your marshmallows, you want to make sure you don't do a ton at a time because you have to move fast while they're really hot. Rolled them out, you will note that they are all roughly the same size, and you want to leave a solid, 3 inches in between. You want to be careful to make sure that they are the same size because you're going to be pairing them up. So I'm going to put them in the freezer for about 10 minutes. Time will help them retain their shape when they go in the oven, and I also am going to set the oven right now at 375 Fahrenheit. Alright, so these are ready to go in the oven. I like to put them in the top third rack of the oven. I think they cook the best that way. When these get out of the oven is the perfect time to sort of sculpt them and make them a little more round if they've lost their shape a bit. Let me show you how to do that. I use the spatula and I nudge them while they are still warm so that they will look like the perfect cookie. So we're going to let those cool on the cookie sheet for probably about 10 minutes. We want them to be relatively firm before we start shoving marshmallows in between them. We want to make sure they've cooled enough so that they can hold their shape and they don't crumble. These are actually pretty cool. I can lift them up and they're not falling apart. I am going to put on my broiler and get my marshmallows. So the marshmallows are in there getting toasty. It's a little blurry right now. We want them to get charred like you would be doing charring a s'more. Do a quick flip over and shove them back under the broiler so that you can get this side nice and charred. How much marshmallow you like. I like to stack 2 and then get the other half of the cookie and smush that down. So I can't make these one-handed because you have to move fast and you need both of your hands, but I'm going to give you a couple tips for when you make them. I want to make sure that you have everything prepped before you go to put the cookies together because you're going to have to move really fast. You're going to want to make sure that your marshmallows are good and charred on both sides so that they're soft enough to smush between the cookies. Okay, and muy important is to make sure your cookies are completely cooled. I didn't wait long enough because I was trying to hurry up for you guys, but you really need those cookies to be firm before you start smushing and handling them. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad scene. So just trust me. You want to quickly roll them in the graham crackers. And when you push the cookies down on the marshmallow, you want to make sure some marshmallow is oozing out of the cookie so that it will catch some of that graham cracker crumb that you're rolling it in. I think that's it, you guys. I don't think I have any more deets. Alright guys, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks to Julie and everyone at the Feedfeed for having me. I hope that you enjoyed this s'more cookie party. These are really good fudgy, marshmallowy cookies and they're perfect for the 4th of July. Full recipe over at displacedhousewife.com. You need to go to the recipe section and scroll down sweets and you'll find it at the bottom. Follow me on Snapchat at DisplacedTieTie and over on Instagram at DisplacedHousewife. This has been a really long goodbye. Thanks guys, see you!